My name is Maya Ellington, and I'm 38. Competence doesn't clap for itself, it breathes. At 12:00 a.m., my dishwasher slips into off-peak the way a good habit inhales, quiet, automatic, loyal. The lamps in my living room rise warm before dusk, and the last square in my budget app blinks green. Paid. People mistake that stillness for softness. They don't understand the purpose of a net until someone jumps. Luca calls my net a buzzkill. He said it with a smile the first time he moved a box into my condo, my mortgage, my timers, my rules. He kept smiling when he learned he could count on me. The smile thins when he can't. We were at dinner with his friends 2 Tuesdays ago, the kind of place that finds a way to charge you for the air between microgreens. Someone asked about wedding dates. Luca twirled his glass and said, almost gently, "I'm rethinking. Maya isn't wife material." No one laughed. People don't when they sense the blade is real. "What does that mean?" I asked. He glanced at the server, at the soft glow catching the edge of a too-thin gold chain. "It means a real partnership is about growth, provision, elevation. I can't be worrying about budgets and price tags. It's small." He said it like a diagnosis. My practicality was a disease he'd briefly misidentified as love. Across the table, his friend smirked. "Manifest a richer life, man." Luca sighed like a saint forced to explain heaven to children. "Exactly. My brand's exploding. I need someone who matches that." I cut my steak, tagged, ironically, to his brand, and did the math. The condo on my deed, the BMW X3 lease in my name to help his meetings, the gym with eucalyptus towels, the streaming services he used as content research, the supplementary cards with his initials embossed, and my credit behind them, the ring lights nesting in my guest room like pale spiders. And, for flavor, the posts, CEO morning routine filmed in my kitchen, abundance mindset on my balcony, gratitude journaling on my linen sofa. Every luxury had a caption. All of them were mine. "You're right," I said, and watched his eyes brighten with the relief of someone who thinks he has won. "I'm not your wife material." He blinked, then recovered with a gracious nod, like a king absolving a peasant. "We can work on you," he offered. "We don't have to be dramatic." "I don't like drama," I said. "I like clarity." The check arrived. I paid it. I tipped well. I smiled at the server, who had watched me swallow humiliation with my water. Luca posted a flat lay of dessert. "Reward yourself, you're the investment," and tagged my plate. That night, after Luca fell asleep on my couch, I pulled out my laptop. The dishwasher murmured. The city breathed. I opened a spreadsheet titled Exit and wrote what needed to be true. Car, BMW X3. Leaseholder, me. Call dealership at 9 a.m. Arrange return. Early termination fee, acceptable. Cards, 2 supplementary users, both L, Moreno. Cancel 8 a.m. Subscriptions, Jim, his. All premium apps he needs for community building, streaming platforms he shares with VIP clients. Change passwords. Remove devices. 8:30 a.m. Phone. He's on my family plan. Initiate account transfer in 7 days. Note. I'm not cruel. I told the part of me allergic to being anyone's villain. Boundaries aren't cruelty. Housing. He is not on mortgage or lease. Draft a 30-day notice to vacate. Offer help with movers. Document everything. Social media. My condo is not a set. Photography rights are implied when you live together. They end when you don't. No need to be petty. No need to be loud. Just stop. I added a line at the bottom. You do not have to make a scene to leave a stage. My phone buzzed. A notification. Luca Moreno mentioned you in a story. I clicked. A video of his hand curling around my coffee mug. Caption, find the partner who invests in your vision. The camera panned to my kitchen island, the quartz I chose 2 years before I knew his handle. My reflection in the black glass looked calm. I made tea. In the morning, the plan behaved like any of my systems, quietly, on time. I called the dealership before my second email cleared outbox. The woman on the line was brisk, sympathetic in the way of people who have processed many endings. "It's in your name?" she asked. "It is. We can collect on Monday." "Perfect. Cards next." A hold music clarinet tried to sell me a better life. I declined. Remove both authorized users, I said to a human voice, immediately. Done, the woman said. Is there anything else? Yes, I said, and surprised myself with how steady I sounded. Not today. Passwords were a dance. The subscriptions fell like paper cranes returning to trees. Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney+, Spotify. The fancy gym with the smoothie bar where Luca filmed his post-sauna revelations. I paused over the membership page. There was a tiny video of eucalyptus steam coiling over stone. I closed it, clicked cancel. The phone transfer was last. Scheduling it for a week felt humane. He'll need time, I told myself, and immediately heard how often I had spared Luca from the consequence of time. 7 days was not punishment, it was courtesy. He woke while I typed the notice. He smelled like sleep and expensive hair product, and a life too lightweight to stand on its own. He kissed my shoulder, saw the document on my screen, and performed surprise like a man auditioning for sympathy. What's that? Logistics, I said. Babe, I said we don't have to be dramatic. I'm not. I signed my name, Maya Ellington. The signature looked like a straight road. At noon, I texted him what mattered. Since we're ending the engagement, we need to discuss living arrangements. You have 30 days to find a new place. I'll help you move. The typing bubbles pulsed, vanished, returned. You can't just kick me out. This is our home. You're not on the deed. You've contributed groceries. That's not rent. Where am I supposed to go, Maya? I am a public figure. You've said you're a successful lifestyle entrepreneur. Time to live the lifestyle. A minute passed. Then, predictably, another tone. This is financial abuse. I looked at the word abuse, sitting there like a weapon he didn't know how to hold. I could have explained the difference between a boundary and a bruise. I could have sent screenshots of every bill I had paid since he arrived, every haul labeled CEO moves. I could have done many things. Instead, I set my phone face down and walked to the guest room. The ring lights leaned against the wall, legs splayed. The backdrop clamps were still on the shelf. I picked one up and pressed the steel mouth open, listening to its small, exact click. Tools don't argue about what they are, I thought. They simply do their work. My door lock turned. Maya? Luca's voice was honeyed panic. We need to talk. You don't understand what this will do to my brand. I do, I said, already moving toward the entryway. He stepped into the hall, eyes bright and damp, face arranged for the camera that wasn't there. Can we at least agree not to be petty? Don't touch my car. Don't touch my accounts. Don't. The car is my lease, I said. The accounts are my credit. The condo is my home. I'm not touching your things, Luca. I'm releasing mine. He stared at me like I had spoken an extinct language. Somewhere behind us, the dishwasher exhaled, cycle complete. I sent the notice. My phone chimed, the message whooshed, and I watched the exact moment he realized the post he wrote last night. Choose a partner who invests in your vision was about to become a mirror. A mirror reflects. Gravity does the rest. The morning after the notice, my plan moved through the hours like a metronome. At 8:57 a.m., I was on hold with the dealership, the music trying to convince me that endings are luxury. Leaseholder name? The woman asked. Maya Ellington. Return scheduled for Monday, she said. We can collect from your building between 9 and noon. There's an early termination fee. I've already paid more expensive lessons. She laughed the small laugh people give when they recognize a truth and can't afford to say it out loud. You'll get a confirmation email. 8:59. The cards. Remove both authorized users, I said. The rep confirmed each last 4 digits, then the soft click of doors closing far away. I imagined the metal hum of a vault resetting itself. 9:10, the subscriptions. I watched the carousel of logos, Hulu, HBO, Disney+, Spotify Premium, spin and dim, as if I were slowly turning out the lights in rooms I didn't live in. The gym took longer. A cheerful recording promised community, eucalyptus steam, and smoothies that tasted like virtue. When a real human arrived, her voice had the practiced compassion of a trainer breaking up with a client. You'll lose access immediately, she said. That's the goal. 9:24. The phone plan. I scheduled the transfer for 7 days later and typed a note into my calendar. Be kind. Not indulgent. I deleted not indulgent and left be kind, then deleted that too. Maybe kindness was finally less about what I gave him and more about what I refused to keep taking. I sent one last text. BMW pickup. Monday morning, don't plan to use the car. Phone number transfers to your account in 7 days. 30-day notice to vacate stands. I'll help you move. The bubbles appeared, vanished, appeared again, vanished. At 10:12, the first post hit his feed, a carousel of pre-sunrise photos from my balcony. Old, I could tell by the fern I repotted in April. Captioned, "Real luxury is peace." Hatcharge CEO energy. Comments flooded in like confetti, hearts and flames and king. I put my phone face down and went to work. By noon, he was pinging like a heart monitor. First a long call I didn't answer, then a sequence of texts that moved through stages like weather. "We can fix this if you stop being reactive. You're throwing away our future because you're threatened by my growth. Do not touch my car. It's essential to my brand. If you cancel anything, I will expose you. I have receipts. What you're doing is financial abuse. My followers will destroy you." I typed, deleted, typed again. I settled on the only thing that mattered. "I'm not destroying anything, Luca. I'm just returning what's mine." At 2:03, the building's concierge called. "There's a gentleman in the lobby filming himself. He says he lives with you." "He does for now," I said. "If he films anyone else, you can ask him to stop." I paused. "If he tries to film me, let me know." "He's on the phone," she said, lowering her voice. "He keeps saying narrative like it's a fire he can put out with the right word." I thanked her, then opened my email. The dealership's confirmation sat there, polite and final. On Monday, the tow truck arrived, while Luca was inside the cafe on the corner performing a live about resilience. The driver had the weary cheer of a man who has seen enough to trust gravity. "Ma'am, you're the leaseholder?" he asked. "Yes." He nodded at the X3. "We'll be quick." 10 minutes later, my phone lit up with Luca's name. I let it ring into voicemail. The text landed first. "My car is being stolen. Correction, my lease is being returned. How am I supposed to get to work? The bus exists. People ride it." He called again, and this time I answered, not to feed the performance, but to remove the stage. "You could have talked to me," he said, breathless with indignation that sounded suspiciously like fear. "We could have made a content arc out of this. Authenticity, boundaries, co-regulation in relationships. You have no idea how many people are watching for our growth." "I know exactly how many people watch," I said, picturing the ring lights in the guest room, their circular pupils reflecting every spotless surface of my life. "That's why I'm careful about what I teach them." "And what are you teaching them now?" he snapped. "That you don't owe someone your spine because they borrow your skin." There was a pause in which I felt him searching for a phrase that would reverse me. When he spoke again, his voice had softened into the shape of a plea. "There's a version of this where we stay friends, where we remain a team." "We were a team when I paid for your dream," I said. "You called that a baseline." "You're punishing me for ambition," he said. "Just admit it." "I'm letting ambition feed itself," I said, then hung up before he could make that a quote card. By midweek, the content machine ran out of my house and into the past. He posted the same 3 sunrises, the same countertop journal, the same slice of toast that had been eaten 6 months ago. His followers noticed. "Is this from March? Didn't you wear that robe at the collab brunch? Where's the dream kitchen? Miss your space, King. Less quotes, more lifestyle." He tried to shoot at Veronica's place. Yes, his ex-girlfriend. But her studio had beige walls and no balcony, and the air mattress kept photobombing the edge of his day in the life. He moved frames tighter, then tighter, until the camera was basically his face. Sometimes he breathed to front-facing video. Expansion looks like contraction. The algorithm preferred the lie to the truth, but not forever. Engagement dipped. He blamed shadow banning in a story, and 24 hours later launched the Abundance Accelerator, 6 weeks, $497, limited spots. The sales page was a collage of my home, my light, my chairs, my island, sutured to testimonials that looked like friends. He said he'd teach hard-won lessons about building a brand with integrity. 3 people bought in. I know because 2 of them emailed me through my work website, a logistics company address I didn't advertise on any personal channel. "Is this legit?" one asked. "He keeps changing dates and asked to reschedule our first call because of a brand crisis." "I can't speak to his business," I wrote back, "but if you feel uneasy, listen to that." The 3rd buyer demanded a refund in his comments. Luca deleted the comment, then blocked the account, then posted a reel about energy vampires. When the coaching didn't catch, he went for a bigger net, a GoFundMe titled Helping a Young Entrepreneur Rebuild After Emotional Abuse. The description made me into a villain with red nails and a ledger, a controlling woman who had sabotaged his business out of jealousy and rendered him suddenly homeless as punishment for success. The number ticked up by $20, then $50, then $230. I recognized the last name on the donor list, his mother, Patricia. The comments were less generous. Wait, weren't you literally posting last month about how real kings don't need a woman's money? So were you successful, or was it her condo? I'm confused. This feels off. Receipts? He doubled down, posting a teary-eyed video from Veronica's hallway, because the beige was unmistakable, saying vulnerability is brave and real men ask for help. He looked small in a way I hadn't seen before. Not cute small, not boyish, just dimensioned. The camera magnifies truth when you stop feeding it lies. I didn't share the fundraiser. I didn't report it. I didn't post a counter-narrative or a carousel of bills. I made dinner. I watered the fern I had repotted in April. I swept glitter from the guest room floor, fallen stars, from a shoot that had promised the cosmos. My phone buzzed. A friend sent me a screen recording of Luca's story. He'd screenshot my notice and scribbled over my name, called me a narcissist who weaponizes money. The replies were not what he expected. Someone stitched together his CEO morning routine with a clip from the fundraiser, claiming he had been forced to live in a controlling environment. Another paired his gratitude in my dream home caption with a still of the beige hallway. The comments turned. It takes time for a narrative to pivot. This one did so in a slow, grinding swing, like a gate that had rusted open and now remembered it could close. At 9:47 that night, my phone rang again. I let it go to voicemail. He didn't leave one. Instead, he posted a black screen with white text. When God wants to elevate you, he removes the counterfeit. If you unfollow me now, you were never my real community. His follower count stalled, then slid. I stood at my window and watched the city perform its own choreography. Brake lights, elevator fireflies, a couple arguing quietly beneath the elm and then laughing in the same breath. I thought about how often I'd mistaken maintenance for meanness when I was younger. I thought about how much of love is simply not eroding the other person. 2 hours later, a new link appeared in his bio. GoFundMe updated. He had added a line about legal fees, about holding abusers accountable. Below that, a paragraph insisted he'd been doxxed. He hadn't. And harassed. He was being disagreed with. The total sat at $230. I put my phone down, turned off the living room lamps, and let the quiet be an answer. The next morning, I woke to 4 text messages from unknown numbers, each a screenshot of his fundraiser, each asking for my side. I answered none of them. Instead, I opened my calendar and dragged a block of time from Saturday morning to Saturday afternoon. Declutter, guest room. I wrote, return ring lights, then deleted return and left it blank. They weren't mine to return. They were mine to remove. At noon, a notification blinked across my screen. GoFundMe reported for fraud. Not by me. By the people who had believed him until the truth lined up all the old posts into a neat, damning grid. He went live, eyes red, voice shaking with a mix of outrage and relief that there was still an audience. People are trying to silence me, he said. They don't understand what I've survived. I didn't survive anything, I thought. I chose. From the hallway, the guest room door made a tiny sound as the latch settled into place. I hadn't touched it. Some doors close themselves when the house remembers its shape. He ended the live with a promise. I have receipts. So do I thought, and opened the folder labeled Exit. Not to weaponize it, just to keep honoring the plan that had honored me. The fundraiser's total froze. Comments multiplied. And somewhere, on an account with a purple avatar and a nurse's badge in the bio, a woman wrote the thing that would knock over the next domino. If you built your brand on her countertops, it wasn't your brand. By the 3rd week, Luca's online kingdom was collapsing faster than any algorithm could save it. The GoFundMe disappeared overnight, reported for fraud. He claimed it was a coordinated smear campaign, but the internet was already playing detective. Threads popped up on Reddit and TikTok comparing his captions from the past year. Side-by-side clips showed the contradictions. Built this dream home with my own hands, spliced next to, I was trapped in someone else's space. The cuts were merciless. the kind of edits that turn someone's life into a punchline. He posted a teary, half-lit video. People forget creators are human. The lies are killing my creativity. Someone immediately stitched it with a caption. Creativity died because the rent did, and it hit 800K views in a day. Veronica, the ex who'd let him crash in her studio, had her own limits. Her single-room apartment smelled of takeout and ring light heat, beige walls, peeling slightly near the window. Luca kept rearranging her decor to make it on brand. One morning she posted a story, a quote on a black background. When someone drains you dry and calls it love, believe them the first time. She didn't tag him. She didn't need to. By Thursday, Luca was out. He packed a single suitcase, a camera bag, and left behind an unpaid electricity bill. His next story was filmed from a childhood bedroom. Trophies, unicorn wallpaper, a stuffed bear on the bed. Sometimes the universe resets you to remind you who you are. His followers didn't buy it. The comments were blunt. You manifested your mom's house? So you were never the provider? Authenticity arc starting strong. He turned off comments, then turned them back on. Each time, the same flood returned. At work, one of my junior analysts forwarded me an email with the subject line, "Reference check, urgent. Dear Ms. Ellington, we are verifying employment history for Mr. Luca Moreno, who listed you as former CFO of his company, Moreno Mindset Group, LLC. Please confirm dates of employment." I blinked. CFO, employment. I called the HR manager directly. There must be a mistake, I said. I've never held that position or worked for any Moreno entity. The woman chuckled softly, professional sympathy wrapped in exhaustion. Noted. Thank you, Ms. Ellington. When I hung up, I realized my hands weren't shaking. They should have been. I'd spent years waiting for moments like that, to be blindsided, to justify, to defend. But this time, it felt like watching a wave break far from shore. The water never reached me. That evening, my phone rang. Patricia, Luca's mother. Her voice was equal parts polite and pleading. Maya, dear, I hope I'm not intruding. You're not, I said, though I already knew where this was going. Luca says you threw him out. You have to understand, he's sensitive. Creative people are fragile. He told you he ended our engagement, right? He said it was mutual. But he's struggling now. You've always been so capable. Maybe you could help him find his footing again? I almost laughed. I've helped him stand for 3 years. It's time he learned balance. After everything, you owe him some kindness. I already gave it, I said quietly. He called it provision. Patricia sighed, that long exhale of mothers who mistake enabling for love. He just needs support. Maybe if you reposted his new video. I think he has enough followers for that, I said, and hung up gently before she could finish the sentence. 3 days later, my friend Harper sent a link, a TikTok mini-documentary titled The Rise and Fall of Luca Moreno, How to Lose a Lifestyle in 30 Days. The cover image was Luca's smiling face next to my kitchen countertop, 1.2 million views. I tapped play. The narrator's voice was smooth, almost amused. Once upon a time, influencer Luca Moreno told thousands that he'd manifested abundance. Turns out, abundance's name was Maya. Cut to screenshots, my condo, his captions, the fundraiser text. The audience laughed in the comments. She didn't ruin his life. She just returned the receipts. Lesson: don't build your brand on someone else's mortgage. When gravity hits, it hits. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt tired, like the truth had finally finished its run and was bowing out without applause. Luca tried to regain control. He launched another program, Radical Authenticity Coaching, $99 for healing circles. 2 attendees joined. One was Veronica's burner account. Within hours, another TikTok stitched his promo with footage of his GoFundMe. Radical Authenticity, the caption read, brought to you by the man who manifested his eviction. His follower count slipped beneath 20K, then 15K. The boutique where he'd once worked part-time issued layoffs. He wasn't on the list because he'd already been quietly fired 2 weeks before for attendance issues. Translation: selfies during shifts. He pivoted again, this time toward motivational podcasting. 3 episodes uploaded to Spotify, all titled with the same vague rhythm. Pain is data. Let them miss you. When the universe ghosts you. Each episode had fewer than 20 listens. The last straw came when he applied for a marketing assistant role at a company run by my colleague's husband. They called me for background. We noticed you and Mr. Moreno cohabited during his brand building phase, the HR officer said carefully. Would you describe him as reliable? I paused just long enough to be polite. He's creative, I said, but not consistent. Silence hummed through the line. Thank you, that's helpful. A week later, another call, from Harper this time. You're going viral again, she said. I frowned. For what? There's a remix. Someone used his clip about abundance and your old photo, the Costa Rica one. Caption: the real manifestation was boundaries. I laughed, sharp and involuntary. Of course they did. You okay? Yes, I said. It's just strange watching gravity do its work. Harper hesitated. He DM'd me last night. Said he wants to collaborate on a redemption narrative. Block him. Already did. By month's end, Luca was back in the suburbs full-time. His new handle read @authentic.luca. The bio: former influencer teaching hard-earned lessons, booking speaking gigs, none booked. Patricia posted a Facebook update about watching her son rebuild with faith. A relative commented, so proud. How's the job hunt? No reply. He still watched my stories sometimes, from burner accounts with names like Growth Mindset Daily. Once, one of them accidentally liked a photo, me on my balcony, coffee mug, caption, "Peace doesn't perform." The like disappeared a minute later, but the notification stayed. That night, I opened my journal for the first time in months. The pages smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and eucalyptus, the ghost of his gym. I wrote, "When people call boundaries cruelty, it's because they benefited from your lack of them." I closed the cover, and for the first time since this started, the air felt light enough to breathe. The next morning, another message blinked on LinkedIn. Luca Moreno has requested to connect. Message: would love to discuss potential collaboration opportunities. I stared at the words until they blurred, then I hit decline. In the corner of the screen, his tagline appeared beside his profile photo, smiling too hard, captioned, "Speaker, coach, advocate for authentic living." And just beneath that, a single endorsement from his mother. Some lessons, I realized, don't need students. They just need time. 2 months after everything collapsed, the silence in my condo finally sounded like mine again. No ring lights humming, no faux inspirational voice rehearsing monologues in the living room, just quiet, the kind that earns its weight. I replaced the couch. Neutral gray instead of cream, new rug, new curtains. The quartz countertop gleamed under morning light, scrubbed of fingerprints and hashtags. Sometimes, when the dishwasher slipped into off-peak at 12:01, I'd catch myself smiling. Stability had a rhythm again. Luca's ghost lingered only where he'd been loudest, the internet. He'd reinvented himself, again, as a truth-telling coach. His rebrand video opened with, "When you lose everything, you find yourself." He filmed it in his parents' yard, cicadas screeching in the background. Caption: booking private sessions. DM for pricing. Comments were turned off. His follower count hovered at 11K and falling. I checked once, not out of cruelty, but curiosity, like revisiting an old scar. One Sunday, Harper came by with takeout and gossip. "You won't believe this," she said, unpacking dumplings. "He applied for a brand coordinator job at Stratton Group." My fork paused midair. Stratton was the company that owned the luxury brand whose country club access he used to throw in my face. "You're joking." "Nope, my cousin's in HR. Guess who he listed as a reference?" I didn't even need to ask. "He really put you down?" Harper said, laughing. "You can't make this up." Monday morning, my work phone buzzed, a polite woman's voice. "Ms. Ellington, we're conducting reference checks for Mr. Luca Moreno. May I confirm your relationship to him?" "I was his former fiancé," I said. "We lived together for 3 years." A pause. "Would you describe him as professional?" "Creative," I said evenly, "but not consistent." "Understood," she replied. The tone suggested she'd heard worse. "That aligns with our findings." When I hung up, I felt nothing. Not relief, not revenge. Just closure folding itself quietly into place. That week, I started seeing Evan. He wasn't dramatic about it. No grand gestures, no declarations about energy alignment. He met me for coffee at a small shop near the pier, where no one staged aesthetic flatlays of their cups. He asked questions, listened, and never once tried to make my steadiness sound like a flaw. He had his own apartment, his own car, his own name on everything that mattered. When he came over one evening, he looked around the living room and said, "It's peaceful here. You built that." I smiled. Peace takes maintenance. Meanwhile, the internet kept doing what it does best: archive. Someone uploaded a 3-part TikTok documentary titled The Rise and Fall of Luca Moreno, 2.3 million views and counting. The creator pieced together his old clips, fundraising attempts, deleted captions, and Veronica's Instagram story about energy vampires. The comments were savage. He didn't get canceled, he got audited. She didn't ruin his life, gravity did. Influence this, my guy. I watched half of it before closing the app. I didn't need proof that truth had a longer shelf life than performance. The next morning, Patricia called again. Her tone had shifted, less pleading, more weary. Maya, he's not doing well. He says people are mocking him online. I know, I said softly, but that's not my doing. I just thought maybe you could talk to him, help him get a job. He listens to you. No, I said, he listens to whoever funds him. I stopped. Silence stretched between us. Then, finally, you're right. For the first time, she sounded like she meant it. Weeks passed. I posted one photo from Costa Rica, sunlight on water, a caption that read simply, simplicity. No hashtags. Harper texted me minutes later. He's definitely watching your stories. His burner account liked it by accident. I laughed. Let him. The algorithm deserves closure too. By early fall, Luca was selling wellness kits through an LLM run by one of his former influencer friends. A few screenshots found their way into group chats. Him holding essential oils, smiling too wide. The caption read, "Taking control of my life again." He'd come full circle, preaching control while living under his parents' roof. Someone commented under one of his last posts before he turned the comments off again. "Didn't you say you didn't need anyone else's money?" The reply never came. Sometimes people send me updates, out of curiosity or spite disguised as camaraderie. I don't open them anymore. The story's already written. The real revenge wasn't the downfall, it was how easy it was. I didn't sabotage him. I didn't smear him. I just stopped paying for the fantasy. When you build your identity on someone else's foundation, you don't need an earthquake to fall. Gravity is patient. Last week, my dishwasher hummed into off-peak, the same quiet rhythm it always had. I poured a glass of wine, looked around the room, and felt something close to gratitude. Not for his failure, but for my own proof that peace doesn't perform. I scrolled through my contacts and deleted the last number I hadn't touched in months, Luca Moreno. Then I sat back, took a sip, and whispered to no one in particular, lesson learned. The city outside blinked with its usual noise, indifferent and alive. Somewhere, maybe in that same suburb bedroom, a man who once called me not wife material was still trying to monetize authenticity. And me, I was finally living it.